When did you realize you ruined your daughter's childhood? She refuses to even go into her own room now. I hear her get up at night and curl up on the hallway carpet, just outside our bedroom door. My wife thinks it's a phase, that she'll grow out of it. But she doesn't see the way her eyes flick to that door when we pass it during the day. Like something's waiting behind it. Like something's still in there. But let me start from the beginning, before it all went to hell. Before the nightlight incident. Before the whispers, before the closet. Back when I thought I was being a good father. Back when I made up a story, a sweet, dumb bedtime story, to help my daughter sleep through the night. Her name's Elsie. She's 9 now. Back then, she was 5, and she was scared of the dark. Typical kid stuff, right? Couldn't fall asleep without a light, kept insisting someone was standing in her closet, the usual. We tried it all, night lights, lavender pillows, white noise machines. She still woke up screaming. I remember one night I was exhausted from work, and I sat down next to her bed and just made something up. I told her, you know why you don't need to be afraid of the dark anymore? Because Mickey Mouse is watching over you. He lives in the closet, and he keeps all the scary things away. I know how that sounds now. But her face lit up. She smiled, crawled under her blanket, and, for the first time in weeks, slept through the whole night. So I leaned into it. I got obsessed. I started printing fake letters from Mickey. Drawing little cartoons on them, leaving them folded under her pillow in the mornings. Good job cleaning your room, Elsie. I saw you help mommy today. I made a whole persona. Mickey the protector. A guardian in the shadows. She loved it. She started talking to him at bedtime. Whispering into the dark. I'd hear her sometimes through the baby monitor. Good night, Mickey. Thank you for keeping me safe. It went on like this for months. And I swear, at the time, it felt like I was doing something right. Like I was finally giving her something she could hold on to. Something comforting. Then one day, I was working from home, and I heard her laughing in her room. It was a weekday. She was supposed to be at school. I ran upstairs, heart pounding, and found her crouched in the closet. Talking to someone. When she saw me, she smiled and said, Daddy, Mickey says you're not supposed to see him. I felt a chill, but I smiled and played along. Tell Mickey he's grounded for skipping school, I said. She laughed. I didn't. That night, I sat down and told her gently that Mickey wasn't real. That he was just a silly story. She didn't speak. She didn't cry. She just stared at me. Then, in the smallest voice I've ever heard from her, she said, but I saw him. Now, look, I figured maybe I'd gone too far. Maybe all the letters and drawings blurred the line between imagination and reality for her. I made an appointment with a child psychologist the next day. The psychologist said it wasn't unusual. Children that age sometimes invent companions, especially if the parents encourage magical thinking. That phrase stuck with me. Magical thinking. I started backing off. No more letters. No more stories. We removed the nightlight, repainted her room. She didn't protest, but she started changing. She'd wake up with scratches on her arms and neck. Said she did them in her sleep. She stopped eating much. Sometimes we'd find her standing in the hallway in the middle of the night. Eyes wide, staring at her own closed door. We tried moving her room. Letting her sleep with us. Didn't matter. Wherever she slept, we'd find her the next morning back outside that old room. Curled up in a ball. One night, she woke us up screaming. Said he was mad. That Mickey was angry we took his room away. I held her while she shook. My wife cried quietly beside us. I started looking into sleepwalking, night terrors. We tried therapists. We tried medication. Nothing worked. Then, about a month later, I came home late from work. House was quiet. I went to check on her. She wasn't in her bed. Not outside our door, either. I ran from room to room, calling her name. My wife woke up screaming when I flung open the closet in our bedroom, convinced I'd find her body. We finally found her in her old room. Inside the closet, sitting, facing the wall, and, I swear to God, there was something drawn on the back of it. A figure, with huge round ears, and long arms that reached down to the floor. It was charcoal, not marker. Not crayon. Charcoal. She didn't say a word the rest of the night. When we asked her what she was doing, she said quietly. I had to show him I still believed. We sealed the room after that. Boarded it up. Tried to move again, but she wouldn't go. Said he'd follow her. She doesn't speak about it anymore. But sometimes, at night, when I pass the hallway, I see her sitting there. Staring at that door, mouthing something I can't hear. We got rid of everything. All the letters, drawings, toys. Even the closet door. But it doesn't matter. She still thinks he's in there. And lately, I'm starting to wonder if she's right. The thing is, it wasn't just her anymore. I started having dreams, not nightmares, not in the traditional sense. But they left me shaken in the mornings, like something had followed me out of them. In one of them, I was standing in her old room. The closet door was open. I couldn't move, couldn't speak, couldn't breathe, and inside, just past the edge of the light, I could see something crouched low. A shape that didn't feel quite right. It didn't move like a person. Didn't feel like a person. But I could feel it watching me. When I woke up, my hands were covered in charcoal. I don't remember buying charcoal. I don't remember ever bringing any into the house. That morning, I pulled the boards off the room and went inside alone. My wife begged me not to. She was shaking, and I could see she was reaching the end of what she could take, but I had to. I needed to see what the hell I'd created. The closet door was open. It smelled musty, like old paper and mildew, but something else too. Something coppery, like pennies in the sun. And on the inside of the closet wall, where the charcoal figure had been, it was gone. But the wall was still stained. Like it had soaked into the plaster. I ran my hand along it. Dry. Then I noticed the small piece of paper sticking out from under the closet floorboard. I pulled it free. It was one of the letters. That was the first time I really considered, that something outside of all of us was involved. Not a ghost, not a demon, not something from folklore or religion. Just something that became real because I gave it shape. And the worst part? I don't think it started with us. I started researching, not Mickey Mouse obviously, I'm not a lunatic, but archetypes. Guardian figures, closet dwellers, childhood protectors. Turns out, a lot of cultures have some version of it. A spirit that watches children sleep. That guards them, or punishes them when they stop believing. Sometimes both. I even found a forum post, buried in an old parenting blog from 2009, from someone who described something eerily similar. Their son had a protector in the closet, left him notes, kept him safe from the thin man with the long arms. That post had no replies. And the user hadn't posted since. I printed it out. I read it every day for a week, trying to figure out if it was a prank. If someone was screwing with me. But it felt familiar. Too specific to be fiction. Meanwhile, Elsie got worse. She stopped talking altogether for a while. Drew pictures constantly, mostly of a figure with big, round ears. But over time, the figure began to change. First the smile vanished. Then the eyes turned hollow. Then the arms got longer. Eventually, she stopped using crayons. She started scratching into paper with pencils until the tips broke. And then came the night she tried to go back in. I woke up to the sound of the hallway floorboards creaking. I rushed out, and she was standing in front of the sealed door, whispering something over and over. I put my ear close. She was saying, "He says it's your turn. He says you promised." I pulled her away, and she screamed. I'd never heard her scream like that, not out of fear, but rage. It wasn't until I locked the door behind us and got her back into bed that I realized she was clutching something. One of the original letters. One of the ones I had written. But the handwriting had changed. It was mine, but slanted, warped. Like it had been rewritten by something trying to remember how I'd once made it. That's when I realized something awful. Some of those letters I thought I had written. I don't think I did. Not all of them. I used to leave them under her pillow. But she'd also find them taped to her window. Inside her school notebooks. Once, this is the one that makes my skin crawl, she found one inside a sealed cereal box. I brushed it off as a joke. I had to. But now I think something was feeding off them. Off the belief, the stories, the trust. Every letter was like a seed, and I was planting them night after night. My daughter, she just watered them with her fear. And something grew. I haven't slept properly in weeks. My wife is on the verge of collapse. And Elsie, God help her, she just sits by the door now. All day, whispering. I tried therapy. I tried moving. I tried medication. But deep down, he won't let me leave. I laughed. Not because it was funny, nothing's funny anymore, but because I didn't know how else to respond. I asked, "Who won't let you leave, Elsie?" She didn't answer, just went back to drawing. I peeked over her shoulder. It was our house. The same layout, same yard. But the windows were dark. The sky was red, and there were stick figures in the windows with no faces. In the closet of the drawing, in the center of the picture, she'd drawn something tall and black with round ears. The mouth was stitched shut. And under it, in shaky letters, "He's watching Daddy now." I took the picture and burned it. She didn't cry. She didn't yell. She just drew it again. The exact same one, line for line. I showed the drawings to a psychiatrist. He asked if she'd ever experienced abuse. I told him no, absolutely not. He didn't believe me. I could tell by the way he looked at me. Like I was hiding something. And maybe I am. Not what he thinks, though. What I'm hiding is that I know this thing, whatever it is, isn't just inside her head. It's in the house. And it's getting stronger. Last week, my wife found a letter in our bedroom. Under her pillow. Written in that same almost my handwriting. It said, "Why won't you talk to me too? We don't even let Elsie in our room anymore. We lock the door at night. It doesn't help. We hear things. Whispers. Scratches. Once, at exactly 3:33 a.m., all the lights in the house turned off for 3 seconds. Then came back on. The hallway door, the one to her old room, was wide open. No wind, no draft, just open. We checked the nails. They weren't pulled out. The wood around them? Split. Like something forced the boards open from the inside. I didn't tell Elsie, but she smiled the next morning. She hadn't smiled in weeks. She said, "He likes that you finally opened the door." I told her it wasn't me. She just kept smiling. That same night, I had another dream. Except this time, I wasn't in the room. I was watching the room. Through something else's eyes. Something low to the ground. Crushing it. Below, scrawled in red crayon. "He picked you now." My wife hasn't seen the drawing. I didn't show her. She's barely holding it together as it is. She walks around with dark circles under her eyes, flinching at every sound. Sometimes I hear her crying in the shower. Sometimes I cry in the car, parked outside work, pretending to be on a call. We're breaking. But the worst part isn't what's happening now. It's what's coming. I can feel it. There's a presence in this house. A pressure. A watchfulness. It's like a held breath that never exhales. And every night, it gets a little closer. Elsie's drawings are no longer just drawings. One showed me asleep, in the exact position I woke up in. Another showed my wife brushing her teeth, with a tall black shape standing just behind the mirror. She drew one of our bed last night. Only 2 figures in it. Herself and the tall shape. When I asked where we were, she said, "You're in the walls now." I don't know what that means. I don't want to know. But I think I will. Soon. I tried leaving the house. I told my wife I was going on a business trip, but I just drove. No destination. No map. Just the road and the growing sense that if I stayed any longer, something would happen I couldn't undo. I didn't make it far. At exactly midnight, the radio cut out. Every station, just static. Then the static started to shape itself into rhythm. Not speech, not music. Something in between. A thudding, repetitive pattern that felt almost like breathing. I pulled over, hands shaking, and turned the car off. But the pattern kept going. Only now it wasn't in the radio. It was coming from the backseat. I turned slowly. Nothing was there, just my coat, my suitcase, and a folded piece of paper. I didn't want to touch it. But I did. Unfolded it with trembling fingers. It was a drawing. Another one. But this one wasn't from Elsie. It was more precise. More intentional, like an adult had done it. It showed a man at the wheel of a car. And behind him, towering in the backseat. Mouth stitched, round ears, the same figure. Above it, scrawled in perfect handwriting. "Running doesn't help when you're already inside." I drove back home in silence. No music, no sound, not even the hum of the tires. When I got back, the house was dark. I opened the door and stepped into a silence so heavy it felt like the air had weight. My wife was asleep on the couch. Elsie was nowhere. I checked her room. Nothing. The hallway. The bathroom. Then I saw the attic hatch slightly ajar. She'd never gone up there before. I climbed the ladder, each creak of the wood like a scream. The attic was pitch black. And cold. Far colder than it should have been in June. I pulled the string on the single dangling bulb. Light flickered, then held. She was sitting there, in the center, surrounded by her drawings. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. And in the center, drawn on the floor in what looked like soot or ash, was a perfect circle. Inside it, she'd drawn the figure again. But this one, it had a face. My face. I whispered, "Elsie?" She looked up. Her eyes were glassy, like she'd been crying for hours. "I had to show him," she said. "I had to show him what you look like now." I didn't know what to say. She stood slowly, walked toward me, put her hand in mine, and whispered, "He says it's almost time." We didn't talk about it after that. We couldn't. The next day, I boarded up the attic. Sealed it with screws, bolts, padlocks. But at night, I hear footsteps above our bed. Heavy, slow, not hers. She doesn't go up there anymore. She just watches the ceiling, eyes wide open, until morning. Then last week, something new happened. I was brushing my teeth, middle of the night. Looked up in the mirror. And for a split second, I saw someone else standing behind me. Not a figure, not the thing from the closet. Me, but older, tired, hollow-eyed. He didn't move like a reflection. Just stared. I spun around. Nothing there. When I looked back, the mirror had fogged, even though there was no steam. 3 words written in the mist. You showed him. I haven't looked in that mirror since. My wife's losing faith in me. I can see it in her eyes. She thinks I'm the problem now. That I did something to our daughter, to the house, to all of us. And maybe I did. Maybe I made something real by pretending too long. Maybe stories are seeds, and belief is water. And I planted a forest. I'm scared to sleep, scared to wake up, scared I'll look in the mirror and see something else wearing my skin. Scared that one morning, I'll wake up, and my daughter will be gone. Not like she ran away, but gone, like she never existed. Like she was never real. Because sometimes, when I look at her too long, her face doesn't feel familiar anymore. Like she's watching me now. Like she's waiting for me to forget who she is. So whatever's wearing her can take my place. And all because I thought I could lie a little lie. To help her sleep. To make her feel safe. Now she won't go into her room. 17 a.m. The same time every night since this began, the footage skips. Just for a second. And when it resumes, I'm no longer in bed. I'm standing. In the corner. Facing the wall. Perfectly still. I stay there for 6 minutes, unmoving, breathing slow. Then I return to bed. I lie back down. And I don't move again until morning. I have no memory of any of it. The camera's timestamp shows nothing else. But the next night, it happened again. This time, I stood closer to the closet. Still facing away from it. Like I was waiting for something to open it. I showed the footage to my wife. She stared at the screen, face pale, then got up and walked out of the room. She hasn't spoken to me since. Not really. She avoids me now, like she's afraid to turn her back on me. And I don't blame her. Because I think something's bleeding through. From whatever place this thing came from. And I think it's using me. Using my stories, my voice, my body. To finish what we started. Last night, I woke up to the sound of whispering. Not in the hallway, not in the closet, inside the bedroom, right next to my ear. I couldn't move. Sleep paralysis, I've had it before, but this was different. I felt something warm crawl across my chest. Slow, careful, and then a voice. Not deep, not growling, childlike. I wore your face last night. Mommy didn't even notice. When I finally moved, the room was empty. But the mirror above the dresser was cracked. Not shattered, just one, perfect, diagonal crack across the center. And the baby monitor, the one we stopped using years ago, was on. Static. Until it wasn't. Until I heard Elsie's voice through it. But not her words. Just laughter. Soft. Wrong. Like she was trying to laugh the way she used to, but had forgotten how. I unplugged it. Threw it in the trash. But I still hear it sometimes, buried under the hum of the fridge, or the ceiling fan. A high, forced giggle. Like someone pretending to be happy. We took Elsie to stay with my sister after that. She didn't want to go. Clung to the doorframe. Screamed. Not for me. At me. She said, "You're the one he needs now." We should have listened. Because that night, she vanished. My sister called in a panic. Said she tucked her in. Everything seemed normal. Then, around midnight, the window was open. The bed was empty. And on the floor, another drawing. Drawn in charcoal. But it wasn't of the house this time. It was of me, standing at the foot of a bed. Looking down at a small shape curled up beneath the covers. And in the corner, where the usual mouse ears would have been. Just a face. Mine. Mouth stitched. Eyes empty. I drove there myself. Hours on the road, speeding through red lights, barely seeing the road through tears. But it was too late. Police searched everywhere. Bloodhounds, helicopters, volunteers. Nothing. No broken twigs. No prints. No signs of struggle. Like she had been lifted out of the world itself. My wife hasn't spoken since. She sits in her rocking chair, staring at the window. I think she's waiting for her shadow to disappear. Or maybe to move on its own. I came back to the house. Alone. I don't know why. Maybe to finish this. Maybe to let it happen. The rooms feel empty now. Hollow. Every surface creaks just a little too long. Every shadow feels like it's leaning closer. And last night, I swear this is true, I found a new drawing. But not on paper. On the wall. Scratched in with something sharp. It was our family. All 3 of us. But we were upside down. And underneath it, in my own handwriting. He has her now. You're next. The attic is open again. I didn't open it, but the ladder is down. The bulb is flickering, and I can hear something breathing up there. Not heavy, not threatening, just waiting. I think I know what it wants. Not my body, not my voice. It wants my story. It wants me to keep telling it. Because every word makes it more real. And I'm so sorry, because if you've read this far, maybe you're telling it too. The attic has changed. I don't mean just the air or the light. I mean something fundamental, the geometry of it. It's bigger inside than it should be. I measured it, twice. On paper, the attic should be about 20 by 12 feet. But when I went up again yesterday, and I swear this is true, I walked 13 full paces from one side to the other. Each step was slow, measured. My feet echoed like I was in a gymnasium. And the air, it didn't feel like attic air. It was cold, damp, like the inside of a cave. There's something in there. I haven't seen it clearly, but I've felt it. It never rushes, never shows itself. It waits, like it knows time means nothing anymore. It already has what it wants, it's just letting me watch the unraveling. I've stopped eating. Food tastes like ash. I drink water but it sits in my stomach like stones. My body is still moving, but I'm not sure it's me that's doing it anymore. I caught myself yesterday staring at a blank wall for over an hour. Just staring. Then I found another drawing on that same wall. I swear it wasn't there before. A perfect outline of my body. Arms outstretched, head tilted. But instead of eyes, there were letters. Burned into the wall, one in each socket, T and S. I don't know what it means. Or maybe I do, and I'm just too afraid to say it out loud. My phone's camera won't work anymore. Just static. My laptop died permanently. My reflection doesn't always move with me. I've seen it smile while I cried. I've seen it blink when I didn't. But the worst was 2 nights ago. I woke up to the sound of a voice humming from the attic. It was a lullaby, one I used to sing to Elsie. I walked up the stairs barefoot, every creak like a scream. The ladder was down. The attic bulb was already on. And as I reached the top rung, the humming stopped. Then something whispered from the dark corner of the room. 3 words. In my voice. She's not yours. I didn't go in. I climbed back down and locked every door in the house. But the next morning, the locks were all undone. The attic door wide open. And on my bed, where I sleep, a charcoal drawing. Not of the figure. Not of Elsie. But of you, the reader. A person sitting at a screen. Eyes wide. Hands gripping the edge of a desk. And behind them, something standing over their shoulder. Watching. Waiting. Underneath, written in scrawled, warped handwriting. He likes when they believe too. That's when it hit me. This was never about just one child. One house. One lie. It's about the story. The telling. The listening. He spreads through the telling. He gets in through belief. And I opened the door. I invited you in. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring you into this. But maybe it was inevitable. Because I can feel him now, not just in the house, but in the rhythm of my thoughts. In the spaces between words. In the empty air between sentences. He doesn't need a closet anymore. He lives in the story. And every time I reread it, I feel him getting closer. My wife is gone. Not dead. Not missing. Just gone. Her clothes still in the closet. Her toothbrush in the holder. Her perfume in the air. But she isn't here. I've searched every room. I've called her name until my throat bled. Nothing. Only a note on the fridge, written in charcoal on the back of one of Elsie's old drawings. It said, she believed too hard. He needed someone softer. I don't know what that means. But I think I do. The attic's been silent since then. The drawings have stopped, but I can feel the tension building. Like the quiet part in a song before the crescendo. Like the moment before something finally bursts through. And I think when it does, it won't be in my house. It'll be in yours. Because stories don't stay still. They move, they travel, and now it's your turn to decide. Do you believe? Are you afraid of the dark? Do you check your closet before bed? Do you ever wake up and not remember how you got to the other side of the room? Have you seen a letter where one shouldn't be? A drawing? A figure in the mirror behind you, just for a second? Because if you have, then he's already found you. I don't remember writing some of the last pages. When I scroll back through this document, certain lines feel unfamiliar. Phrasing I wouldn't use, words that taste strange in my mouth when I read them aloud. But they're written in my style, my structure, my rhythm. It's like he's learning, like he's wearing me from the inside. There are moments now where I black out. Not from exhaustion, not from drugs or drink, just moments of absence. I'll be in the kitchen, slicing bread, and suddenly I'm in the hallway with no memory of walking there. I'll go to wash my face, look up, and it's not my face anymore. It's like someone trying to approximate me, but not quite getting it right. Last night, I heard a knock at the front door. 3 soft taps, like fingers wrapped in cloth. I looked through the peephole. Nothing, but on the ground, another letter. Not in charcoal this time. This one was typed. It read, "Thank you for the story." It's almost full. No signature, no envelope, just the page, printed on thin, translucent paper. I brought it inside. It dissolved in my hand. Literally, crumbled like ash, but left no dust. I haven't slept since. I can't. Every time I close my eyes, I see a room I've never been in. A narrow, windowless hallway with a door at the end. The door is always slightly ajar. And I can hear something breathing behind it. Worse, waiting. The hallway gets longer every night. I think that's where I'll end up when this is over. Not dead, not gone, just filed away. Part of the archive. A story added to the stack. I wonder how many others are there already. How many parents? How many children? How many people told harmless little lies to keep someone they loved from being afraid? And how many of those lies grew teeth? Because that's the part no one tells you. When you create something to protect your child from fear, you give shape to the very thing you're trying to banish. I built a guardian. He became a jailer. Then he became a hunter. And now? Now he's an idea. And ideas don't die. They move. They spread. He's in this document now. In the shapes of the letters. In the negative space between the lines. I don't know how much longer I have. My body is failing. My wife is lost. My daughter's name doesn't feel real in my mouth anymore, like it belongs to someone I dreamed. I found a new drawing this morning. Scratched onto the inside of my forearm. It wasn't there when I went to sleep. It's of a door. Just a plain door. But I know it's the one from my dreams. And underneath, a note. He's almost ready to open it. I keep trying to finish this story. To find some kind of conclusion. But every time I think I've reached the end, I feel his hand on my shoulder. Guiding mine. Pressing the keys. Writing more. Writing through me. If this is the last entry, then remember this. You let him in, not because you wanted to. But because I showed you the door. And you looked too long. You believed, even a little, and now he's found you too. He's patient. He's kind. He doesn't rush. He waits. And when you finally hear the whisper behind your ear, don't turn around. Last night, I tried deleting the file. This one, the story. I moved it to the trash. Held down Shift and Delete. My screen went black. When it came back, the file was still there. Except it was renamed, don'tstopnow.txt. I didn't rename it. I didn't open it. Not then. But it opened itself. And the text had changed. Lines I never wrote were suddenly embedded between mine. Things I'd never said. Little details I hadn't told anyone. Things no one could know. The first word Elsie ever spoke. The brand of cereal my wife always bought. The fact that I sometimes hum when I'm nervous. They were all in there. I tried unplugging everything, shutting down the power, but the screen stayed on. The cursor blinking, waiting, and then the final line appeared. Typed slowly, one letter at a time, as I stood there, paralyzed. You know how this ends. I left the house after that. Or tried to. Walked down the driveway, got in the car, started the engine. But the road, it wasn't the same. It stretched out in both directions, long and flat, with no end. No turns, no landmarks, just 2 black lines into gray nothing. And the GPS? It didn't show a map. Just one word, home. I turned off the ignition. Got out, walked back inside. I didn't want to, but my legs moved on their own. Like I wasn't walking away from the house. I was walking back into the story. The house is quiet now. Not peaceful, expectant, like it's listening, like it's waiting for the final sentence. And I can't leave until I write it. But there is no final sentence. Not really, because the moment this ends for me, it begins for someone else. You feel it, don't you? The weight in the air as you read? The silence behind you? That tingle in your spine you've been ignoring since the second paragraph? He's close now, because I've told you everything. Because you believed, even for a moment, and that's all it takes. That's the door. That's how he moves. I used to think this story had a climax. A resolution. A way out. But there's no ending to a story that writes itself. Only pauses. Only transfers. I'm the narrator. You're the reader. Soon, you'll be the storyteller too. You'll feel the pull. The compulsion to recount what you read. To tell a friend. To summarize it in a comment. To whisper it to someone who's afraid of the dark. And when you do, even if it's just in passing, you'll be writing your version. feeding your seed, and he'll grow in you, too. Not loud, not fast, but deep, quiet, patient, like breath behind your neck, or eyes in the mirror that don't quite blink right. He doesn't need a name. He's had too many already. Guardian, watcher, protector, all lies, all masks. The only truth is this. He came through me, now he's with you, and he's still hungry. I don't know how long I've been sitting here. The lights have long since burned out, and the only glow in the room comes from the screen in front of me. My fingers ache, my knuckles are sore, and there are dark lines under my fingernails, black, powdery streaks like charcoal dust. I didn't draw anything. At least, I don't think I did. But the table is covered in pages now. Sketches, shapes, figures. Some of them are of him. Some of them are of me. And some I don't recognize. But they feel familiar, like memories I was never meant to keep. I tried to burn them all. But they wouldn't catch. I held a lighter to the pages for minutes. But the flame flickered out each time it touched them. Like the air around them didn't allow fire. Like even destruction had been denied to me. It doesn't matter now, because I think this story is no longer mine to end. I told you everything, every detail, every whisper. I tried to warn you. But maybe that was the final step. The last offering, because this morning, when I woke up, something was missing. Not something physical, not a thing, but a part of me. A silence that had once been filled with fear. It was gone, not because I was brave, but because he doesn't need me to be afraid anymore. He doesn't feed on fear. He feeds on attention. And now, you're giving it to him. You've read too far. You know too much. You've traced the shape of his story with your eyes, and that's all he needs. I see things now, not always in the corner of my vision, sometimes directly in front of me. The clock in my hallway hasn't moved in days, but it ticks. The mirror shows a version of my house that's slightly off, same furniture. Same layout, but no shadows. No dust. No me. I watched my reflection wave to me this morning. I didn't wave back. I don't think it liked that. There are sounds in the walls again. Scraping, soft thuds, breath that isn't mine. And the attic? It's open again. I locked it, bolted it, sealed it shut with 6-inch nails. But it's open. The ladder is down. Something came down last night. Not fast, not dramatic, just footsteps. Slow, careful, and then a creak as the bedroom door opened. I stayed under the covers. Frozen. I'm not proud of it. I didn't look, but I felt him sit at the edge of the bed. Wait, cold, presence. He didn't move for hours. Just sat there, and in the quiet, I heard him whisper. Not a word, just the shape of a word. Like language turned inside out. Like memory trying to speak. And in that moment, I understood something. He's not here to harm me. Not directly. He's here to use me. To spread. To rewrite himself again and again through every person who lets the story in. Through every parent who tells a lie to calm a crying child. Through every whisper in the dark that becomes comfort instead of warning. That's the real danger. Not him, but us. Our instinct to invent safety. To put a smile on a shadow and tell our children it's watching over them. Because that smile becomes real. And it never stays friendly for long. I haven't left this room in 3 days. The door doesn't open anymore. The window shows something else now. Not the street, not the sky, just endless gray. A hallway, the same one from the dream. The door at the end is still cracked open. But now I hear footsteps behind it. Getting closer. Last night, I heard a knock. Not at the door. Inside my head. Just a tap, like fingernails against bone. I screamed. I don't think anyone heard. Or maybe they did, but they're too far gone to care. Maybe this house isn't in the same place anymore. Maybe it was never a house at all. Maybe it's a story that built itself around me. And now it's building around you. Because you're still reading, still following, still believing. That's all it takes. You don't need to say his name. You don't need to open a door or whisper in the dark. You just need to wonder. To hesitate. To consider. And when you do, he'll know. He always knows. This document will end soon. But the story won't. You'll carry it with you. In the back of your mind. In the brief moment before you flick the light off at night. In the silence between footsteps in your hallway. In your child's room when they ask if something's watching them from the closet. You'll remember me, my daughter, my lie. You'll want to tell someone. To pass it on. To say, I read the most messed up story once, want to hear it? And that's how it grows. Because the story isn't a curse. It's a virus. A thought that thinks itself. A presence that becomes stronger the more you understand it. And now you do. I'll be gone soon. I don't know where to. Maybe I'll be part of the attic. Maybe I'll be one of the drawings. Maybe I'll be the voice in the monitor. But I'll be part of him now. And you? You're already part of the next telling. So go ahead. Say it out loud. It's just a story. Go on. Say it again. And listen very carefully to what answers back. Because when it does, that's when the real story begins.